Well, it's great to have you here, man. I appreciate it. Is there any specific thing that stood out to you that you accepted coming in here? Was it just it's just like, oh,
I
podcast?
was just like, whatever, I'll come through. I mean, I've done like this year, I've done like 7 podcasts.
All right. And
I'm like, I'm gonna do 1 year of podcast and then 1 year of just not doing any like content
Right.
podcast wise.
and then you're just gonna get the clips up and
Yeah,
that'll
exactly.
be the content for the next year.
Yeah, just exactly. That's it. I'm gonna just clip farm all the
Sweet. Awesome, man. Well, you played football when you were young. All right. Tell me about that. What was like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
What was the journey? Where did you reach?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing soccer. That's what we call it in America. When I was like really young. So like, I think at the age of like 5, I started playing, and the reason I started playing was because I mean, I wasn't really good at a lot of stuff, but soccer was just one thing that a lot of Americans were just already just not really good at because everyone wanted to play basketball or like they wanted to play baseball, and like they had been playing from younger, so they were already decent. And everyone who was at the age of 5, 6, 7, they were pretty shit at soccer. So I was like, okay, let me just start playing soccer because I can get pretty good at it pretty quickly over obsession. So I started playing when I was 5. Over time, like by the age of 10, 12, I realized I was like actually decent. Especially in California, you don't have to be really good to be like good. So yeah, I was like better than most people, and then I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I want to be a soccer player. Like this is what I want to do. I loved soccer. I used to play FIFA all the time. Like I'd be on the pitch, I'd come back home, I'd play FIFA, and that was my day pretty much. Like I loved it. And I was also like very fit at the time. And then what would happen was like I realized over time, like age of 16, 17, I got really good. Like I was like invited to U.S. camps, invited to play for like this like international team. For the U16 team, and I was playing for academy level, which was like the highest level we could play in the US. And the main thing I realized was like, I had been playing for almost like my entire life, and I'd gotten to a certain level of like how good I was. Like let's say like I was just decent, and now for me to get even a little bit better, I would have to put in like 150 hours, and I would get like 0.1% better, right? But up until that moment in my life, like every weekend, every month, I would get better and better and better. I was putting in the same amount of effort, same amount of time. But now it's like the more effort, the more time I put in, I still only get like 0.1% better. And I realized like, it's like this Moore's law, right? Like you have exponential growth for a really long time, and then it just like plateaus. And like the people that are really the best in the world are the people that kind of just like
are able to take it. Like it's like going to the gym. When you first start, you build the muscle really quickly, but then for you to go from the good body to the great one, it's like
it's like consistency, and then it's like how big is your why, right? Why do you want to do soccer? Right. Like, there's like then I would go to like these academies, and I would see like these kids waking up at 6 a.m. like just like every single day just on it, and I'm like, bro, this is like crazy. So then I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this. Probably should do tech. Took like like I just drove to San Francisco, and I was like. That was pretty much it, and then I entered tech. I still play soccer though every other day, so I played yesterday.
Because I have a similar story, because I found that very interesting. When I was young, I always wanted to be a soccer player, and I was training all the time. I was getting good, I was getting better, and then I left. I was raised in Egypt. I left Egypt for the Netherlands to play professional, and then. Like you said, the 6 a.m., 5 a.m. days started coming more and more and more. And then I reached like a professional level. And then I realized, oh, I now need to put even more work. Yeah, it was like an anticlimactic thing. I thought I was like going to reach, and then I would kind of rest, but it's really not true. When you reach, you just need to put even more work.
Yeah.
And I really liked, I wanted to be free, but at the same time, I really loved football. So it was like two things that were colliding with each other, because when you play football, you can't be free, right? You're always in a strict timeline, a strict diet, strict everything. And even if you're pro, a little bit of people only make like a lot of money. And also there's a lot of things you can't do. You can't speak about, you're not really free. You're still tied up.
And you can just do it for fun,
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's like, just play whenever I feel like it, and the other times just do whatever I want.
Yeah, exactly. So why tech?
So once I realized like soccer is not the way to go, I looked at like the Forbes richest billionaire list.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, the first 3 people are like all hedge fund managers. I really didn't want to manage like money. And then I was like, okay, everyone else is just like made a tech company and just like, that's it. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I should probably do tech. If like all these people are billionaires because of tech, I should probably do it. So that's the reason I actually just went from like, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do soccer. I'm going to do tech because the likelihood of me becoming a billionaire is way higher. You always see soccer players becoming billionaires,
Yeah.
but you see tech people becoming billionaires. So that's why I chose tech. And then I just took a drive from my home in San Jose, which is Silicon Valley, up to San Francisco, where all the startups are.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just like walked into a random office and the rest is history.
All right. And so when it comes to tech, because I have no idea when it comes to tech, did you go to a uni or was it like a self-taught thing or how did that?
Yeah, I'm 19 right now, so I'm a year younger than Musa. So we're most of us be in college, but we both are on. I'm gonna gap year. I don't think I'll be going back, to be honest, just because of like what I'm doing now. But a lot of the stuff that I learned was like self-taught. And the way it was self-taught was because of my environment. So when I went to San Francisco, I realized like I went to this office and all these people are like a little bit older than me, 25, 26, and they're all building companies. And there was one thing I noticed that they all had. On all of their computer screens, there was like code. And I was like, yo, that's interesting. Like all these people that are building really cool companies are all writing code.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? And you realize like when writing code can actually change the world. Like 0.1% of the world can actually write code, but that 0.1% affects like literally 99.9%, right? And it's crazy. Like it's like literally a superpower. So I realized like all these kids know how to code. I should probably learn how to code. So I just learned by actually just trying a bunch of random stuff. I was like, okay, I want to build. The first thing I ever built was actually a site for Arsenal. Arsenal is my favorite team, even though they're trash. But
I was about to say,
yeah, even though they're trash, I don't even care. What? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So Arsenal is my favorite team, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna bring my passion for sports and tech and put it together and build something. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna build an Arsenal like fan page. So it took me like 3 weeks, but I finally figured it out. After
how old were you at that point?
I think 15, 16.
15. Oh yeah.
Like this is actually like only 34 years ago. It was crazy to think, right?
Right.
So I just spent like, and also I have like ADHD. So like when I like actually like something, I obsess over it, right? Like I'll forget time. I'll forget like to eat, whatever it is, just like get the thing done because I enjoy it so much.
Right.
So I was like, okay, building this Arsenal site took me 3 weeks, but I learned a lot in those 3 weeks. So then I was like, okay, what's the next project? Let me build a script writer. Let me build a chat bot, and I just kept going. I ended up building like actually for like one of the first projects I ever made that actually got like viral. Do you know the My First Million podcast by Sean Purry? Do you know what that is?
No.
It's another podcast in San Francisco. Basically, it's this guy named Sean Purry. He's a really cool entrepreneur. He has his own podcast. And what I did was he had like over 300 episodes. And I remember I would, so like my commute to the office was 1 hour one way.
Yeah.
So I'd be 1 hour or 1 hour back. So 2 hours every day. And every day I would listen to a podcast both ways. And I would remember like by the time I got home, I would remember something in the podcast, but I wouldn't remember which timestamp it was at, which episode it was at. And I remember like they mentioned something about, let's say like Crayola, right? And I forgot what they mentioned and I want to go back, but I can't find it, right? So like, so what do you do in that scenario? And I realized a lot of my friends also have that problem. So like one of the first big projects I did was me and a couple of friends, we took like 400 episodes of the My First Million podcast. We transcribed them. So we took, converted all the voice into text, and then we made a search engine across it. So you could literally type in any word, and then across all the podcasts, you would find the clip of where that word was said. And we also made it semantic. So semantic basically means if you type in cake, anytime like dough or frosting or all these words are mentioned as well, you can find it. So it was really cool, and it blew up all of the internet.
How long did that take you to build?
It took about a month. I'd say about a month. Yeah.
So when you know what you're doing, and it doesn't necessarily take you like years and
Yeah, I'm a big believer of like shipping fast, which is basically this like idea of like don't really wait till like the product is perfect. Kind of just like launch the first version, get the feedback, launch version 2, get the feedback, launch version 3. It's just iterating.
Yeah, if you try to perfect it, you're never gonna.
You never actually reach perfection.
Exactly. Yeah. Speed is very important. I also go by that. If I have an idea, it's just I stay up all night until it's done, and then I release it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Did you end up like selling that or?
So we ended up just doing it for other podcasts. So I remember, do you know Stephen Bartlett, Diary of the CEO, I think is his podcast. He DM'd me on Twitter and he was like, yo, this is an amazing tool. And then he sent me a screenshot of his Spotify. He was like, I have the #1 podcast in Europe. Would love for you guys to do for our podcast. Happy to pay. So we ended up doing it for them. We ended up doing it for 2 or 3 other podcasts. The All In podcast was another. But yeah, it was pretty cool. We didn't sell it necessarily, but we sold it as a service and we did it for a couple of other people. Mm-hmm. But if you guys want to check it out, if you look up anypod.ai, you'll find it.
Amazing. And right now you have Musicfy, right?
Yeah.
How many projects in between that first one and this one that you have?
Yeah. Well, Search the first tool I ever built, the search engine for podcasts, was called Search MFM. I think I built that almost like a year and 10 months ago.
Yeah.
So actually not that long.
So it's not that long.
But the thing is, like, in those 2 years, I actually did a lot of work. Like, for example, like my day, every single day when I was like a year ago, it was just like I was always working on something. Like there was never a time. Like actually, I would. So I went to school freshman year, and what I would do is like Monday through Thursday, I would be at school because I would have classes, and while I'm not in classes, I would be working in my dorm room, and then on Friday, I would take a 6-hour train from my school because it was super far away from my office. 6-hour train to my office. I would get to the office around. I would get back to SF around like 1 a.m. I would go to sleep at home. I would drive for an hour, and I would drive to the office in the morning. So like 7 a.m. on Friday, and then I would come in on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'd go back to school on Monday. So it's like every single day there was something to do. I would say how many projects I did, like probably like 6 or 7 until Musicfy. I mean, none of the projects I actually built before were. Like I had a goal of being a company, if that makes sense.
It was just like training.
Exactly. Right. And like, it was just like, I need to kind of learn how to be a really good builder before I know I can build a big company. Even Musicfy, wasn't trying to make a company. I was trying to just keep getting better. I had to make it a company because it became very clear that like, this is like a pretty disruptive tool that a lot of people really like. Like, for example, if something has 1.5 million users, that probably means that it's good. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll make it a company. But yeah, it was like always this idea of like, I want to just keep learning, getting better. Yeah.
And for people who don't know, what is Musicfy exactly? What does it do?
Yeah, so Musicfy is essentially a platform that allows you to convert your voice into any voice you want. So for example, I could be talking right now, and then in the flick of a wrist, like I could be talking like Drake or Kanye or whatever. If you've seen all the AI music on TikTok, YouTube, all that, a lot of that is powered by us. We have like over 1.5 million users worldwide, and we're growing pretty fast. And yeah, we're profitable as well, which is pretty cool because most AI companies are not. But yeah, it's pretty disruptive tag, and like we're excited to see where the future of it goes.
And is there competition right now in that?
Yes, we have. So early on, what we did was we had like Drake, Kanye, and all these voices available, and then we had a cease and assist from Warner, Sony, and Universal. So all 3 of them. And they're like, hey, you can't use our like Drake or Kanye or all these voices on your platform to sell a product. We were like, okay, sure, we won't. We'll use like characters and stuff like that. So we got rid of the like mainstream artists because there were some legal issues. There's a couple of other companies that just like don't care, I think, and they just have like all these big artists on their platform. But we've really focused on like how can we actually help a musician make music quicker. So for example, the use case of like I'm a male singer and let's say I want female background vocals in my song. Rather than hiring a vocalist and then paying her royalties for every stream, imagine I could just sing and then convert my voice into the female vocals. And that's what we do. So we have a bunch of tools built out for like musical purposes and use cases. We also have like text to music. So like you type in, describe a sort of music and it will generate it.
It's like a one-stop shop for any musician or
exactly
starting out.
Like I'm a big believer that like if anyone has tried to make music, I personally don't have anything to do with music. This was just kind of like a cool project I wanted to build. But now after like getting all into it and doing a lot of research, like the software that you actually use to make music is so like intimidating. Like a lot of people are just like, they look at it and they just
Too advanced.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like even GarageBand, for example, it's like pretty advanced. Like it should be really simple to make music. And we want to be like the mid journey of
simplifying the user interface. Right?
Exactly, right? So like that's the thing that we did with Musicfy, and we plan to keep doing that as well.
Where did the idea come from?
The idea came from like I was reading this research paper called RVC, which is retrieval voice conversion, which was talking about the idea of like transforming your voice into any voice, and I was like, oh, this was really pretty cool. A lot of use cases for it, and then at the same time, I heard of the Drake Weekend song, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. How do people make this? And then what I had done was I took a bunch of like I did a bunch of research on like where are all these people hanging out, how are they doing this, and I ended up finding this Google Colab, which is pretty much just Python code that you run in your browser, and it was like really long and it was really bad, and it worked though. That you uploaded your voice and then you'd press a button and a couple other buttons, and then it would spit out a voice that didn't sound like you but what you said, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Imagine if I just made this into like a site, and that would be cool. And the reason I wanted to make it into a site was because I was in a Discord called AI Hub, which was like where all these people that were trying to make the music were hanging out. And I realized like there was a bunch of non-tech people trying to do this. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me just help them out and build a site for it. Because everyone's complaining, hey, I'm getting this error in my code, blah, blah, blah. And these guys are not developers. They're just regular people, right? And I was like, if regular people are like trying to download the code and do something, that means there's probably something here. So I ended up just building it out and then launching it in like 5 days. Literally, like from the idea, it was April 10th to the
this year, right?
Yeah, April 10th, and the waitlist actually went down April 10th as well. Like my main thing, if I ever have an idea, I always launch the waitlist the same day as the idea, because you can launch a waitlist in like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
not that hard to launch a waitlist, and it will be very like. And up until the time you finish building, which could be a week or 2 weeks or a month, whatever, you'll gain like an email list. But also the other thing is you'll know if there's interest or not in your product.
Yeah.
So then I April 10th launched the waitlist, a couple thousand signups in a couple of days. I was like, cool, this is pretty sick. And then by April 20th, I launched it. Like April 15th, we were doing testing and all that. But 20th, we fully launched. First day, we had like 10,000 signups. I was like, oh, cool. And then at that point, everything was free. So for the first week of launch, I was like, okay, let's just make this free so we can build some buzz. And like I remember, like every single day it was costing like $1,000 because we were paying for computers to like convert the voices. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go broke. And then I was like, okay, like after week 1, we should probably figure out how to make money from this, or just like monetize it. So I just literally I didn't think about any pricing structure. I was like, all right, just $1 for 10 credits. Like that's it. Like $1. Like that was the only thing you could buy. There was no $10 or anything, just $1. And I put the $1 thing, and like literally in a second, we got our first transaction. And I was like, whoa. And then I remember day 1, we had 1,300 transactions of $1. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like there's 1,000 people that just paid me $1 to. And I remember we were like positive that day, and I was like, oh, cool. We should probably come up with a better pricing strategy. We end up coming up with that like in a month later. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was really exciting. Like it was growing, and people really liked it.
And so I've seen coding before. I'm not that into it, but when it comes to coding a website or coding press this button and this website opens up, or is that different from integrating an entire AI structure into the code?
So it's pretty simple. Okay, so I mean, I could break down how most AIs are built nowadays. It's called LLMs, large language models, which are basically like these big. They're pretty much like, imagine like you put a camera on a computer and you just showed it the entire internet, right? Like every web page, every article, everything. Like that's what ChatGPT is pretty much. It's like the world's largest LLM. It's processed almost the entire internet, right? It's like anything. And because of that, it's just like a giant brain, right? So think of it as like a person that kind of just has read every book, seen every article, and just remembers everything. And so when you ask them something, they actually have a whole knowledge base of like all that, so you can answer it. a lot of these AI models are trained by really big companies, like because it requires a lot of compute, which is like just like GPUs, right? Like you use your GPUs for gaming most of the time, but in AI, we use GPUs to actually train these models because they're really compute intensive.
Yeah.
For you to scrape the internet and then train a model on that internet, you need a lot of compute power. So because of that, like that's pretty much like ChatGPT is a great example of like one of the world's largest LLMs. Other AIs, like for example, our thing, it's called RBC. Usually these models are trained by colleges and they're like research projects or whatever. But the use cases of them are usually just by like random indie developers, right? People that just want to explore and build with cool tech. So for example, there's a lot of these sites like, if you've seen like Copy AI that helps write scripts for people and all these other things. Essentially all those tools, what they do is, which is actually pretty smart as well. So ChatGPT is like really famous because of OpenAI. They spend billions of dollars in research and development. So what they do is take an API, which is basically the way to think of an API is, I'm gonna try and break this down. So you have ChatGPT. You can chat with it. It's in its internal interface. But imagine you want to build an app that's also a chatbot, and you don't want to like train a whole model, an AI model, or like do all the machine learning stuff because that's actually expensive and very hard. The easiest way to build a chatbot is just like going to OpenAI's site and then getting this thing called an API, which basically is like a
connected to chat.
Exactly. It's just like you can pretty much bring your chat into wherever you want to go.
Right.
And now like you can be chatting in a different interface, but it's still using ChatGPT's brain, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is basically taking ChatGPT and putting in a middle connector and getting the information from there, from ChatGPT itself, and then putting it into a different interface.
Yeah, it's called like a fetch request. So it's like you could ask a question like what's the color of a rabbit, and then it will send it to ChatGPT. ChatGPT will respond, and it will come back, but it will be in your application, right? So that's how all these apps are built, like Copy AI and like Jasper and most of these big apps, which is pretty cool because that means they didn't spend millions of dollars in research or development, but they spent millions of dollars in marketing, and they're marketing a great product, and because of that, they're making a lot of money, right? So, that's how most of these work.
And when it comes to AI, it's where does it go from here? If we've got voices that can change, if we've got access to the entire internet, what would be the next step?
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many other things that are happening nowadays. I don't know if you saw, like, there was a podcast of Lex Friedman and Mark Zuckerberg, which one of my friends converted into Hindi and like did the lip syncing as well. So it's like we're going to be having content now that's, for example, like Mr. Beast's audience is so big because he has content in almost every language.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think we're going to have like AI that will be able to create that for a lot of content creators. Like this conversation that we're having right now in English could now be in Arabic and Spanish and Chinese just with AI. So there's going to be a bunch of tools that are going to be made to help content creators to make more content in different languages. Other than that, I think there's going to be like a really insane progression of like fake media and fake images and all that on the internet, and it's going to be very hard.
Oh, I've seen a lot. I don't know if you're into the whole Palestinian situation. You've seen Ben Shapiro posting the one with, have you seen the one that, so Ben Shapiro posted a photo, and he said, oh, here is a baby that has been burnt by Hamas, right? And then turns out that this is an AI photo, and the original photo was a dog at a vet, right?
Yeah.
So this whole fake news thing can...
fake media, fake news are going to... And this the scary thing is, like, that's just right now. Like, imagine a year from now. Like,
when videos can be totally AI and totally
not even real.
Yeah.
So people are working on tech like that. I think, like, the world is definitely going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be a lot of bad that comes from it, but I would also say there's a lot of good that comes from it. For example, Khan Academy is working on this thing called Khanmigo, which is basically an AI chatbot that's like a one-on-one teacher, right?
Yeah.
Usually, and like the statistics show that when you have like a one-on-one person teaching you, you actually improve your skills a lot. And Khan Academy actually did a survey, like based off of, like how they have courses. Like you can do your regular courses, or you can chat with Khanmigo and then do the courses. And they saw like a 30% increase in like intelligence, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people are going to get a lot smarter. We're going to have a lot of tools built for us. AI is definitely going to change the world, and I'm excited to see what it does.
Do you think there should be regulations on it once?
I think it's going to be very hard to regulate. I don't think you'll actually be able to regulate it just because like it's out. Like when something is out, it's very hard to like take it back, right? Like if I know that I can create a fake image of anything, it's very hard for the government or anyone to take that free away from me.
Well, for example, let's say on X, Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Surely they can implement another AI that basically detects if the photo has been tampered with using an AI, and then this photo has been tampered with AI, so now you eliminate most of the fake news.
Yeah. So there are companies that are doing that. One of my friends is building this company called Deep Truth, which is focused on for example, we do the voice stuff, like we do voice-to-voice conversion. He wants to be able to detect that, and we're trying to help him in figuring out how we can build tools like that as well. So there's definitely going to be a lot more tools and companies that come out with these abilities to like check if this is AI or not. There's a big question right now of like, should we watermark every image that comes out and made with AI? Like something that only a computer can understand. So there's a lot of conversations around that because it's getting to the point where it's like almost insane.
Yeah, indetectable by the naked eye, right?
Exactly.
Right. So back to Musicfy, you have 1.5 million users, right?
Yeah.
What was the marketing strategy for that?
Yeah, so the marketing strategy for Musicfy, I would say it's like really insane.
Yeah, go ahead. I like marketing. I'm a marketing guy.
Yeah. And because with 5 months to take something from 0 to like 1.5 million users, it's pretty, you have to do some crazy shit. So early on, I realized like there's one big thing that everyone forgets, or most people forget when they're marketing a product, and that's like the timing of when you launch it. So the time that I launched Musicfy was like, I would say perfect. Actually, I would say perfect. And the reason I would say that is because it was right after the Drake Weekend song came out, and like the buzz was there, right? So it's like, I didn't let the buzz like die out. I was like, okay, buzz is here. I'm going to launch this in like the next 5-10 days. I launch it. So automatically we already have like people that are just like genuinely looking for the tool because they want to try it out. Like they want to try out a service like that. But the way we actually marketed it over the next like 4 months was pretty interesting. So we realized like content creators are the people that like rule the world. And like, I don't want to be going out and marketing my own products. I don't want to be creating my own pages, but I can find people like you that have like your own audience and figure out a way that I can incentivize you to share my tool to your audience, right? So first I realized like on TikTok, there was hundreds of pages that were just posting AI Drake, AI Kanye, all that stuff because it was just doing well on TikTok. And there was no goal for it other than like they're getting AdSense or whatever from the TikToks or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me hit these guys up and figure out if I can incentivize them to push their content to our page, right? Like, hey, like go make your own on this site. And I realized like everyone cares about money. Like, how can I just offer these guys money? Well, early on, we didn't really have that much money. Like, we couldn't just be like, hey, here's $1,000 or whatever. So I was like, I had to get really scrappy, and I was like, let me just create an affiliate program. 25% of every person you bring on will give you like 25% of it, like the first month. So if someone came on and spent $100, you'll get $25, which is pretty good. So and all these accounts had no, like, they weren't making money from anything other than TikTok. So they didn't mind putting a link in their bio, right? So very quickly we had like hundreds of accounts that were putting their links in their bio. And a lot of those accounts started doing really, really well. And a lot of that drove traffic to us. Another thing that we did was like, we saw like really big accounts that were by our competitors. Like some people realized our strategy and they started having us. And what we would do is like, let's say like, so they were on retainer, like they were being paid like $500 a month. And then they would post like another pages, like they'll be like, hey, go make this cover on this page. And then there would be a different link pretty much. And we would just pay them like $600 a month. And so it's like killing our competition, but also growing our own market. So stuff like that. And then we spent a lot of time with like SEO as well. Like, how can we optimize for search? We're just starting to see the results of that now. Like it takes a couple months for that to actually start kicking in. So we're getting like 70,000 clicks a day almost.
And what's the conversion rate as far as
ticks from
website visit to still
paid?
Yeah.
It's around 1% for most SaaS products. And that's because like with TikTok, you're throwing a lot of like low quality traffic here.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like people that are, a lot of people are, actually, we have like a really generous free trial. You can use it pretty much forever, but if let's say you're a free user, if you use it 3 times, then you have to wait 30 minutes before you can use it 3 times again, which is pretty generous if you think about it. Because we know there's a lot of people that just want to try it out one time. We only wanted the people that were going to pay that are going to be around for like a really long time and actually like want to use the product. So, so that's how that is. We spent a lot of time with SEO. We spent a lot of time with YouTube. Realized like long form content has a much higher conversion rate. We had one video that someone posted about just talking about our product. Just like, like Musicfy is pretty cool. I've been using it for this. Like the voices are insane, and that brought in like 20K new MRR. And we were like, okay, cool. This is interesting. A video with 300,000 views on YouTube brought in 20K new MRR. We should probably
focus on
long form. Yeah, so we're focusing on long form now. So we're doing a lot more YouTube videos and stuff.
From my experience, I find that using short form is great for getting your name out there, not necessarily converting, and then using the long form is for converting the people themselves, right? And what is the plan with that company? Is there you want to keep it and just keep growing it, or do you want to sell it eventually, or what's the plan?
I mean, my plan right now is continuing to just keep building it out. I think there's like a pretty big future for audio tools like this. Not just in the music space, but also in the gaming space. Imagine you never have to hire a voice actor for a game again.
Right.
Imagine you never have to voice act a character in a movie again, whatever it is, right? Also imagine like all the audio in a game, for example, like the sound of footsteps, the sound of rain, the sound of shooting, whatever it is. Like it actually has to be recorded and then put into the game. Imagine you could just generate it with text. So like that's what's interesting to me. Like building all these tools and actually like disrupting not just music, but like gaming and animation, because the actual TAM for music is actually pretty small. TAM is just total addressable market. I think for software tools for music creation is like, it's less than like $1 billion. It's very small.
Small market, yeah.
But like music as a whole is only a $25 billion market, which is pretty crazy to think. But gaming is a $250 billion market. So it's like 10 times bigger. I think there's 2 things that we're going to try and do. One is like we're going to try and build, like the way Midjourney made it possible for anyone in this room to be an artist, Musicfy is going to make it possible for anyone to be a musician. And the other thing is we're going to help disrupt like gaming and animation via like the tools we build out for them and make it just so cheap to build games and so cheap to make movies and just like, that's where we're focused.
Do you plan on ever selling it, or do you want to? Is it like yours and you?
I mean, I think like Manny Kosh. If you know who Manny Koshman is, he's like this really cool car guy in LA. But he has this saying: he's like, everything is on sale for the right price except my wife. And it's like I really like. I don't have a wife or anything, but like I just really like that idea of like everything is on sale at the right price. I mean, we've had.
What's your price?
I think like right now the company is valued at like raising at like 17 million. So, not below that. That's it.
Do you have any other programs you're working on? Anything or is it just Musicfy right now?
I'm trying to stay pretty focused. I mean, I do have a couple of other things that we're working on. Moose and I are actually working on something. It's still very early stage, which is a software tool that's going to help content creators create clips, and it's also going to be a community for clippers and content creators. But yeah, that's still really early in the works. So it will be coming out, I would say, like Q1 2024. But you'll start seeing stuff starting like next week about it. So
sweet. When it comes to your whole journey in tech, did you ever feel like quitting? Was there a point where it was like just too much, something really bad happened?
No. Well, I'm like actually delusional. So like I even like, well, I had a conversation with my friend yesterday actually, and we were like, yo, like, why are we sitting here in Dubai, like on this penthouse, and why are our friends still sitting in SAAS, right? Like, what made us different, right? Our friends were actually smarter than us. Like, we shouldn't be here. And then I realized it came down to one main thing. It was like, we're actually just so delusional to think that we could have made it, that we actually tried something that was crazy and it worked. Like, for example, like, 99% of people won't do startups because there's a 99% of them failing. You know, so it's like we are the 1% that think we're gonna do it, and then we actually succeed because we were so like consistent, right? Like that's the main thing about startup. If you're consistent, something will work out.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think like the main issue, the main reason I never quit was like I was just like never. I was like, yo, I'm gonna do it. Like I never had any doubt in my own mind of my own skills, and like that's delusion to some point. And I think that,
but that's what's required.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I remember there was a statistic that says, I don't know how much, but it's a very high percentage of successful people, they do have ADHD, right? So it just proves to you that if you're not crazy in a sense, then you're normal.
Yeah.
Right? So I definitely understand that mindset that you're coming from. Okay, yeah. So you are here in Dubai right now. You were just saying you stayed in the penthouse. Do you ever think about moving here?
All the time.
Right? Why haven't you done it?
Well, well, the problem is I can't work here at all. Like, literally, every time I come, I try to like get off my computer and just like work, and then there's like another place that we have to go. With something we have to do. Always something to do here, which is like the main problem. I love the city. I love the people. Everyone's great. No one works. That's the problem. Or the people I hang around, and that's fun because they come here to enjoy. And I think like in my mind, like Dubai is a place I come to enjoy. I'm gonna keep coming back. This is the third time I was here this year, literally alone. So I'll be coming back a lot. I think eventually I will move here, like just for like 3-4 months of the year at a time. And that's gonna be after like I'm not really working as much. But I really like San Francisco because when I get back, like everyone's just like Red Bull on the table, just like on their computer all the time. And I like that energy because like it actually helps me build things. I don't see that energy here yet, but I do see more energy of just like lavish lifestyle enjoy. And you need a mixture of both, like work hard, but and then party hard or like live better. And I want to stay in that side for the reasons of just like people in tech there are insane. The best tech people in the world, and if you surround yourself with the best, you'll be eventually the best. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
And in Dubai, you enjoy the best. So when you come here, you'll surround yourself with the best enjoyers and enjoy the best.
Yeah. For me, it was actually the opposite because I lived in the Netherlands, and over there for me, I felt like everybody was a robot. In a sense, like everybody was just waking up, going to their 9 to 5, and there wasn't really any creativity. Right. I'm 20, by the way. I got married there, and then I just was like, no, I can't. I'm not living here anymore. I'm moving. Like I haven't been here once, and I just moved. Like,
wow.
It's just.
And 4 weeks in, right? How do you?
4 weeks in. Alhamdulillah, 10x the business, minimum 10x. Muslim Millionaires just blowing up. The other businesses are doing very well, but for me here it was like insane compared to there. Nobody really had that mindset of working hard, right? I haven't seen it. I tried building multiple things there, but there's only so much you can build on your own. There's a limit where you can reach. I think that limit is like 15 to 20K a month, and then that's it that you can do on your own. You need some kind of partner or some kind of expansion. And every time I tried something, it didn't work out. They didn't work out hard enough. They were just lazy. Just the mindset was not there. But then just moved here, and it's great. What about taxes in the US? How do you deal with that?
Well, I haven't had to deal with them yet, just because last year I didn't have. Well, I was working at BuildSpace, which is like another company, so it was pretty simple because you have like you're paid as an employee, so it wasn't too difficult. This year it's gonna be really messy because like we made like a lot of money from and we have to pay myself. I have to pay employees and all that, and then California is also like a crazy place. So first of all, USA is like tax. First of all, it's crazy tax.
Yeah.
But then California is like the worst because like they have like another tax. So it's like for every dollar we make, I would say like 50% of it goes to taxes, which is a crazy thing. And then like, and that's without like for example, when I pay for something, like I also have to pay sales tax and all that. So that's without that. But like usually in a startup, if you're operating, so we're gonna have expenses this year, so we're gonna write off a lot of stuff, right? Like when you pay employees, that's like you actually get taxed only on the profit of what your company's doing, right? So if we show no profit, then we wouldn't get taxed. We're gonna have profit this year, but we're gonna write off a lot of stuff. Like we'll probably get like new computers for everyone.
Surely, if you like, you can write off nearly everything that you could do for it. You can also put in investments,
like dinner here, everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Then whatever is left, you can just throw it in like some kind of investment, and you leave it there for next year. And it's not gonna affect. But yeah, if you move here, you're gonna have to denounce your citizenship to escape the tax, right?
Yeah. Well,
Are you thinking of ever doing that, or is that like?
I would never do that just because like I know I can never get the like Dubai residency or the residency. I can get the Emirates ID even without denouncing my citizenship, right? I actually don't mind paying taxes to the U.S. like just make more money, you know.
Yeah.
But if I do come to Dubai, I'll just have a company set up in Dubai, which will have like a different structure. The only thing I'm taxed on is actually my personal income. So like if I have a company here in Dubai that's making money, I'm only going to be taxed on the money that I send to the US to me.
Oh, okay. So in that case, it's...
Yeah. But if I'm here, like, let's say I come to Dubai and I have like a million AED just chilling in a bank here, I can just use that. It's like not taxable. Right. So I don't think I'll be denouncing it.
Oh, okay. In that case, I did not know that it's only on your personal. So in that case, you can technically get away with everything, right?
Yeah.
Do you see a mentality shift when it comes to Dubai and California, like the people in general?
100%.
What is the mentality?
Well, the mentality shift here is like I think a lot of people here, it's like life is all about like eating good, living nice, and just like chilling, you know. And then in SF, it's very different. It's like life is about building products that are going to change the world, and I'm going to do everything to do that, you know. Well, that's like the hyper concentration of the people I'm around. Like I'm around a really specific type of group of people. Like I'm not around. Like, there's also like every type of person, right? The people that smoke weed and party. There's the people that just work 9 to 5s. But I'm like around the startup hustler grinders,
right?
And I really like it because like it pushes me to be harder. And it's awesome community to be around.
All right. And for you, what is the ultimate goal? What is the end game here?
It's a good question. A lot of people have asked me this. I think like for a lot of people, it's like a number like they're aiming for, like 10 million, 100 million, whatever it is. I think for me, it's very simple. It's like 5 sayings that I have. It's like, I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want, wherever I want, for however long I want, which basically means complete freedom, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can do anything. That's all I want. And I think like if I were to put a number on that, I mean, like, actually, you can live a really good life with even like $5 million, which is a crazy thing people visualize. Like, even with $10 million, which nowadays doesn't sound a lot, you can live like a really good life. Your life's not going to improve from like 10 to 20 million.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't, like, from 10 to 100 million, yeah, it will improve like 1%, right? But like the biggest improvement is like when you go from making like
$1,000 from economy to private.
Exactly.
Yeah.
$1,000 to like $5,000, like. Or sorry, from $1,000 a month to like $50,000 a month. That's like the biggest improvement, right? You like your life just gets crazy big, way better. But now it's just chill. It's just like enjoy life, take care of my parents, take care of my sister and brother, and just chill out.
You got someone in your life?
No, not yet. I'm just I'm still really young. I'm 19, so I'm just still focused on work and just trying to keep doing that. We'll see what happens.
For me, the reason I got married, I had because for me I had my business. I was acting like I was a 30-year-old, you know. Like I didn't go to college as well. I dropped out. I should be in college right now, but I didn't. So I was like, okay, so technically I skipped uni. I'm like a 30-year-old guy in this area. My mindset is mature. I was like, why should I wait? You know, like there is no point of waiting, because I feel like for me as well, if you make too much, it becomes harder.
I think that's what Musa says also. It's like if you find a good girl, just marrying on.
Yeah, exactly. Because if at your position right now, or even in the future, right?
Yeah.
It might be even more difficult, because then you now have to also deal with the fact, okay, who is actually with you for you, and who's with you for
your money?
Exactly, for other reasons, right? So for me, I'm thankful to God. It's like from the beginning.
In the US, it's like not that normal to get married. So
it's not normal to get married at all. It's like
yeah, it's true.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's all I got. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming here, man. And
appreciate it.
Yeah. If you have any last things, go ahead.
Keep watching the podcast.
Please subscribe, guys, and see you.